Hey, how you doing? It is Simba the Speaker here. Yes, Simba the Speaker, your cleaning guide to cleaning business success. In my last video, actually, I made a last video. That video, the camera was really close to my face. I was standing up on, and I was saying in that last video, I was waiting to get a couple things so I can kind of get my setup right? And so I was able to get the couple things that I needed. Yes, I was able to get a couple things that I needed. Another thing that I was able to do and figure out as well is, so usually when I was creating videos, if you haven't, go check out my different videos. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notification. If you feel like you got value from this video, if you feel like I put an effort to give you some value from this video, hit the like button. To not divert from what I was saying, when I was first making videos, I was using my iPad to actually, make these videos so I could kind of write and have like a drawing board so I could talk to you guys. What I was noticing was that if you check out my previous videos, some of them have some weird feedback. Excuse me, some weird feedback. Ooh, you need some water. So yeah, some of them have weird feedback in the video. I think that was because I was connecting the actual iPad to my laptop, whatever, right? But now I've got it down to a science. I got this board for you. We're not gonna have any bad feedback. We are good and ready to go. So once again, Happy New Year. If you haven't seen my channel, definitely check out my videos. Once again, I am your cleaning guide to cleaning business success, where we talk about how to run a remote cleaning business. Yes, a remote cleaning business. We dive mainly into residential, but we'll talk about commercial here and there as well. Now, today I'm going to talk about something I would say is a bit important, right? And so a lot of times you hear people talking about like a cleaning business, and they say, hey, you can start a cleaning business with $0 with just a broom and a mop. And I understand that, right? I get that. If you go out there, if you knock on some doors and you just do the cleaning yourself, yeah, technically you can start a cleaning business with just a broom and a mop and no dollars. Technically, you would have to buy the broom and the mop, but if you already have them at home, then you can, claim that there's no dollars that need to be spent. But today I want to talk about what is the realistic cost of starting a remote cleaning business. What is the realistic cost of starting a remote cleaning business? Now remember, when we're doing a remote cleaning business, we're delegating tasks, right? Because the point is for us to be able to work from our laptop anywhere, right? And be able to still make money. So today I want to talk about what is the cost to start a remote cleaning business. Once again, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like. If you look at the details of this video, I have our school community that will be getting active. Yes, the school community as well. Feel free to contact me or email me as well. And I put my calendar. If you want to book a consultation, we can book a consultation. I have a one-on-one where I teach people actually how to start a remote cleaning business. And then, let's say you don't want to do that, right? Let's say that you want to put in the time. Let's say you have the time to put in, right? You may not have the money. Continue to watch these videos. I'll be dropping videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays, so you have more than enough information to get started. But let's get to it. Yes. And so this is kind of what I mean, right? Because before I used to have to actually use my iPad, bad feedback, but now I can do this here. So let's put a title here so we know what we're talking about. I like to put a title here just in case anybody comes here. We're gonna start. And so this is the question. This is the question of the day, right? How much money you actually need to start, we'll put a remote cleaning biz. Nice. So bear with me, like I said, I am a little new to this. As you can see, I am a little new to this. You probably can't see now, but it is, sometimes they will move a little slow, so just bear with me as I kind of figure this out right here. Okay, so when we're talking about how much it costs to start a remote cleaning business, right? We're not just talking about a business in which you just, like I said, you get a broom, you get a mop, you just go clean, right? When we do remote cleaning, right, we have subcontractors that we use to do this, right? So we're not talking about necessarily the startup cost in terms of if you were to go actually do the cleaning, but what is it gonna take and what is it gonna cost to actually build this type of business, right? So let's go through some of the costs. And what I'll do is when I'm talking about the cost of building a remote cleaning business, I go from high to low. Some of these costs may be fixed, some of these costs may vary depending on what type of services you get from what business, right? But just take these numbers, right, and you can use these numbers as a range of, okay, if I wanted to start a remote cleaning business, what would I kind of actually need, right? What would I actually need to kind of be able to get this done? Okay, so to start, the first thing that you're going to need is an LLC. And now LLCs vary from state to state, so I'm going to put, I've seen as low as 100, and I know around where I'm at here in Florida, it's about, we'll say, 125 will go high on 150, right? So we'll start here. We'll start with number one with our first cost. The first cost is going to be the LLC, which is $100, $150. Now look, many will say, yeah, you can start a business. You don't necessarily need an LLC to get started, right? And I get that. Going back to what I said, you can go get a broom, get a mop, get some supplies, and go knock door to door, right? And sometimes they may not ask you if you have an LLC, right? A lot of times they won't. But here's a couple things I want to talk about. Now, first, having an LLC makes you legit and it makes you credible. There are customers that will want to know that you have a legitimate business. That is a real thing. There are customers that will want to know that you have a legitimate business. That's a real thing. So you want to remain credible at all times, right? And it's a limited liability company. Now, the thing with a limited liability company is if something happens, the liability to you is limited. That is the point of an LLC. So now when you go into these homes or you go into these places and you don't have an LLC, if something goes wrong, you are held liable. And the reason I say that is because let's say without an LLC actually, you won't, for example, be able to get insurance. And so having insurance helps out where if something happens, let's say even if you go as an individual, something happens, maybe you break something, you don't want to have to come out of pocket, right? You can put in a claim with the insurance. Let's say you have W-2 employees or you go the subcontractor route, right? Subcontractor route, you can make sure that they have their own insurance, or let's say you go to W-2 route where you're going to want to have insurance. You're going to want to have these things just in case something happens. You don't want to be in a situation where if something happens, you wish you had it versus having it and just hoping something doesn't happen. And if it does, you know that you're good, right? So it's important that we have an LLC. So the LLC is going to be anywhere between $100 to $150. That is the first cost, right? So that's the first cost we can look at. Now the good thing is an EIN. If you need the EIN, we'll put EIN here. Let's see something. See, I'm working this with you guys. So let's talk about an EIN. And think about me, right? I like to be very transparent, right? As you can see, I'm working. This is new. I'm usually doing the iPad. But right now, we are just learning as we go. So the good thing, right, because the next thing that you're going to want in your business is the EIN. The beauty of it is, depending on where you're at, it is free. Yes, an EIN is free. So if you don't know what an EIN is, an EIN is pretty much like a social security number for your business, right? It's like a business tax ID. You can use it to open an account. You can use it to obviously get insurance as well. But you are going to need an EIN, right? The EIN is free. The EIN is free. So that's a good thing. So as you can see, that one doesn't have a cost. That is very important as well. The minute your LLC comes in, I think they call it the Articles of Incorporation. The minute you get those documents, we can now start applying for the EIN. Yes, we can now start applying for the EIN. Oh, actually, let me get this out the way so you guys. So we can now start applying for the EIN, right? So the EIN is free. You do not have to worry about that. The EIN is free. You do not have to worry about the EIN cost, but it is something that's needed. So now, I want to move this because I don't want, okay, let me see. Can I move this? Perfect. So yeah, so the EIN is free, right? We got the LLC, we have the EIN, right? So now let's talk about some of the structure of a business, right? So we're going to talk about we're going to actually point out a couple things, right? Let's point out website. We're gonna need the website, right? We're gonna need a website. We're gonna need a logo. I'm gonna talk about all this. I want to list this right now as we're getting ready. We're gonna need the website. We're gonna need the logo. Let's actually start there. We're gonna need the phone. And we're gonna need an email. Just bear with me, y'all, as I get ready, as I go through. We're gonna get this done, y'all. Okay, so let's go through everything, right? So we're gonna need we got the LLC, EIN for free. We're gonna need now a website, right? Now the price of a website can vary, right? And the reason it can vary, it just depends on where you get it done and who you get it done with, right? So for example, let's say you go to someone that actually does websites and actually creates websites, right? They may charge you $1,000 to $2,000 for a website, right? Now I'm not saying the website is gonna be bad, but it's gonna cost. It's gonna cost, right? Now, even if you do the website yourself, you're going to obviously need to pay the monthly subscription, the domain cost. There's going to be different costs that are going to come with this, right? But if we're just looking at the website as well, if you go to places, for example, like Fiverr, if you don't know Fiverr, Fiverr is like a freelance place where you can have people pretty much do work for you, and they'll charge you for the work. Depending on what the work is, will obviously depend on the price. If we look at websites, right, technically a website can be free in terms of creating it, but you obviously, once again, you're gonna have to pay the monthly subscription. But let's say that you don't know how to create a website, right? Let's say you don't know how to create a website, or let's say you do. We can say that a website can go anywhere from $50 to, I'll be honest, we can go as high to $1,000. Once again, it really just depends on who you get it from. It really depends on who you get it from. When you're starting a business like this, right? Especially when it's a remote cleaning company. When you're starting a business, especially when it's a remote cleaning business, right? We want to keep costs very low. We really want to keep costs very low. So if you know how to create a website, if you have the time to maybe do it, then I would say go that route. But sometimes I would say, look, you can make money, but you can't make time. So a lot of times when I find a situation in which I could just delegate the task, that's what the remote cleaning business is, right? We're delegating the cleaning to other subcontractors so we can focus on running the back end of the cleaning business all online here on the laptop. So with that being said, I truly urge us to practice delegation, right? So we're starting from the website. I know it's a high range, but $50 to $1,000, 50 to 1,000, 50 to 1,000, right? And so what I will say is I'll put an average. So the average would be 125, and I'm gonna actually write that here. The average is gonna be 125. Sorry, I'm gonna take off my watch. I don't want it to scratch up my laptop. The average is gonna be 125. Let's see if we can go down. Nope. No worries. So the average for this is gonna be 125. Let's see something. You know what? Ooh. Give me a second, y'all. We're gonna go back. Like I said, we're learning this, so I'm gonna as we're learning, as we're going, as I get better at it, So the good thing is I try to be very transparent. As you can see, like I didn't come in like, hey, I'm a master how to do this. Even this got messed up. We're just gonna keep it as is for the sake of the video. But what I want you to focus on is not necessarily the technicality of what's going on, but the actual information. The average is 125, right? And the reason I say the average is 125, after paying somebody and having to pay for certain the monthly subscriptions of actually having the website, you could be paying anywhere between 125 to 150. Same thing with the logo, right? The logo could actually be free because you can make a logo off of Canva, right? You can actually make a logo off of Canva using a regular account, a free account, but you could also go to Fiverr and pay somebody, right? You can go to Fiverr and pay somebody. If I wanted to be honest, if you went to a marketing company may charge you hundreds of dollars for a logo. It is a thing. There are companies that charge big companies $300 to $500, $500 to $1,000, depending on how big the company is, thousands of dollars for these logos. Now, the fact that we're a remote cleaning business, we want to start small. We don't want to sit here and kill our pockets and kill our funds. So when we're talking about a logo, if you're actually really good with Canva, a logo can be free, if I'm being honest, right? It can be free, but at the same time, let's say we're practicing delegation. Let's say, you know what? We're practicing giving off the task that we may not be good at. We may have a little bit of money to do that. I would say a logo on average could be 25 to 50 bucks, right? And sometimes I like to go a little high just in case. But let's say $50 for a logo, right? So the logo is free to $50, right? So now we're looking at about a $50 cost, right? And the reason I'm doing these ranges because I can say, yeah, the logo will be $50, but you may find a guy and the guy charges, the guy or girl charges you more, and I don't want you to say, oh well, some of the speaker said it's $50. It depends on who you go to. It depends on the complexity of the logo. It may even depend on how many edits and how many revisions. Keep these things in mind. That's why a lot of times when you're going to do things like a logo, right, or you're going to do things like a website, it is good to have this information on hand before. You don't want to be having to do multiple revisions. Some service providers may allow you to do multiple revisions, but a lot of times they may sit there and say, hey, we're going to charge you for these revisions. We're going to charge you for these revisions, right? And you don't want to be in a position where you're constantly getting charged for revisions. So try to have these things in hand. We'll call it $50 here. Phone. So phone system. The phone system that I use Pro, which used to be Open Phone. So the phone system for that costs you about $25 a person. We're going to go high. We're going to say $30 after taxes and fees. So you're looking at about $30 for a phone. Now, don't get me wrong. You can use Google. Google has a Google phone, which is free. But that free plan is limited. I don't remember how many calls. I don't remember, how that works. But that plan is limited. If you are looking to scale, if you're looking to grow, you might as well get a phone plan as well. If you want to do call recording is important because you want to be able to go back to the calls if anything happens. If you need to check on some information or you need to clarify a gate code or something, you don't always have to call the client to say, hey, can you retell me the gate code? Right? You can just go back into the call. So things like call recording, being able to get call transcripts, that's important so you can actually look at the transcript of the call. These things cost. So instead of saying free to $30, it's free to $50, or depending on your plan, because plan can go as high as $75 or $100, especially if it's per user, depending on how many sales reps that you get in your company, which is a whole different topic, that could go up. We're gonna say a phone just for you is $30. This will allow call recording, call transcripts. I want to even say it will allow some automated messages as well. Next, we have email. We have email, right? So with email, it depends on what you want to use. I use Google Workspace. It works for me. There are different email companies. If I'm correct, certain websites actually allow you to either purchase an email or they may come with an email. Excuse me. But I personally use Google Workspace, and Google Workspace charges me technically $7 a month. $7 a month, right? So when you first get on the plan, it's about $7. That comes with a professional email. Now, I said this in my last video. If you're just starting, you want to save money, right? Because there's a way we can save money technically on all of these things, right? If you wanted to save money on the email, you could have a regular Gmail, which would be free. But that's the difference between a credible business and a business that's not credible. Understand this. When you're running a remote cleaning business, the main purpose of this is we are an online storefront. We don't have a physical location. You can if you want to, but that's just extra expenses. We are an online storefront. So the biggest thing is making sure that your online presence is legit. There is no reason, if you are an online storefront, there is no reason that, especially if you don't have a warehouse, if you don't have cleaners to sit there and manage W-2, or you don't have a place where you have to put your supplies, there's no reason that you shouldn't be spending the money on a legitimate website. If I have a legitimate, email, my apologies. If I have a legitimate email and you just have something at gmail.com, someone is probably going to pick me because mine says info@businessname.com. I'm probably going to be I'm going to pick somebody that has a legitimate email over someone that's using a Gmail, right? So we need to think about these things when it comes to actually, figuring out what we're gonna spend money on, right? So we have the email that's there. Google My Business is free. If you watch my last video, I talk about the different steps when it comes to actually getting the cleaning business started. Now, the good thing with the remote cleaning business, and I'm gonna add this, cleaning supplies. What do you guys think cleaning supplies is going to cost? Because within the remote cleaning business model, we are subcontracting the work. It is free. Yes, it is free. Why is it free? When you are working with, actually, I'm gonna put this right here. When you are working with subcontractors, subcontractors need to have their own cleaning supplies. This should not be an expense for you. Cleaning supplies should be free. You should only be working with contractors that have supplies. If a subcontractor says, "Hey, can I use the client supplies, or can I, do you have supplies that I can use?" They are a no-go. It is not legit. You should not use it. I have literally recently had a client that paid me $600+. I had a cleaner that was supposed to bring her own supplies and did not. That caused me to have to give a partial refund. Why? Because we guarantee that we have our own supplies. So cleaning supplies, that should be free. That should be free for you. It should not be an expense for your business. Now, I do want to say this. This is a little bit of game, and this is a gem, right? If you have a client that wants eco-friendly products, you can purchase the products, but technically the products will be free because what? We will be upcharging the client. We'll be upcharging the client. So the client would technically cover their own cleaning supplies, which is the eco-friendly cleaning supplies. They would cover that, plus the convenience of having to go get the supplies, right? And so by doing that, it is still free, and we actually pretty much, it's like an upsell, right? Eco-friendly supplies is an upsell, so we still have to make some money from it, and we're still making profit from it as well. We have the LLC, we have the EIN, we have the website, we have the logo, we have the phone, we have the website, we have the cleaning supplies. I want to go into something next, right? So now we need to also be able to manage our clients. So this is going to be what we call a CRM. If you watch my last video, once again, the last video, I was all in the face of that video. If you watch my last video, the CRM is a tool you use to manage customer data. There are different tools that you could use. ZenMaid, Booking Koala, Go High Level, whatever, right? With that being said, each CRM costs a different amount of money, right? It's a different quantities for different CRMs. I will talk about the one I use. I will talk about the one I know a lot of other cleaners use. The one I know a lot of other cleaners use and that I use is called Booking Koala. And so Booking Koala on a monthly basis costs $57 a month. That is the lowest plan, but it's the good plan. It's a plan that works pretty well, so you don't have to worry about it. So I'm just looking at something here. So the $57 a month plan is perfect. You can use that plan right there, and that will do you very well. $57 a month is the basic plan. That is the CRM that will allow you to book clients, charge clients, connect your contractors with clients so that they can see the information. You don't have to actually give them the client data, right? You don't actually have to give them the client data. So we have the CRM, which is $57 a month. It is the basic plan that you can use. So right now, this is the basis of a cleaning company, right? The subcontractors, depending on the platform that you use, you can pay for it, but you really don't need to, right? You have Indeed. Indeed is a free platform. You have Facebook groups. Facebook groups are a free platform. And there's free platforms to get cleaners, especially once you start working with other cleaners. A lot of other cleaners are going to refer you to other cleaners as well, so a lot of it will be free. When we do the math, let's total this up. Let's total this up. What does this come out to? By now, if you are actually watching me do this, you can probably do the total itself. So what I like to do, let's go as low possible. Let's go low, and then we'll go high. So right, if we go low, we have 100 plus 50 plus 30. Remember, the 50 is if you do the website yourself, plus 7 plus 57. $244. So this could be a 240. This could be a 244 startup cost on the low end. And then so let's go 150 for LLC. For the website, we're gonna use the average because you shouldn't be paying $1,000. So let's go average. Let's go 125 plus 50 for a logo plus 30 for a phone, 7 for an email, 57 for a CRM. To 419. Total 244. So we'll say 450 to 420. We'll call it 450. Let's go high. So we'll say 250 to 450 to be able to start a remote cleaning business. That is a low startup cost compared to a lot of other business models. A very, very, very low startup cost to a lot of other business models. So if you get the chance, take a picture of this. You can rewatch the video as well. This is how much money you actually need to be able to start a cleaning business. I know a lot of people say, hey, you can do it with $0, but you're gonna be cutting short. You're gonna be cutting corners somewhere. You're gonna be cutting corners somewhere, or you wouldn't even be able to take a good amount of volume. Like I said, if you want to start as cheap as possible and not look credible, you can do that. You can use the regular Gmail. You can not get a CRM and do everything in an Excel sheet, or you can, you can not get a real website and use a Facebook page, which I talk about in my last video, which is not good and you do not look credible, right? There are ways to avoid it. Once again, you will not look credible and you will not look like a strong business. So then when people actually call you and get in contact with you, you cannot price them the way you want to price them because you don't have that positioning to be able to do so. But with 250 to 450, you can be able to give yourself a strong positioning in this actual industry. Mind you, depending on your first client, right, you can make this back in 2 cleanings. 2 cleanings, you can make this, right? And especially as you start building reoccurring clients, you'll make this back easily, without a doubt. So with that being said, this is the cost to start a cleaning business. Now, I do want to put in the details of this video, I will be able to put my school community, which will be getting active, or we are active now, I'll be getting more active again within that community, as well as a consultation link at the bottom. If you would like to call and get a one-on-one consultation, we can do a one-on-one consultation for free. I do consultation for free if you're looking to start a remote cleaning business, right? Because I'm giving you the cost of what to buy, but sometimes setting them up it may be a little different, it may be a little difficult, right? Like even with like the phone system, right? There are certain things that you can set up with the phone system to make sure that you never miss clients, right? And so if you would like, set up a one-on-one consultation with me. I'll drop the link in the details. You can see that as well. And from there, we can talk about these actual aspects. And depending on how much money that you have to spend, we can talk about the best way to optimize your remote cleaning business. Once again, I appreciate you for being in this video. Once again, if you're a new subscriber or a new watcher or a new viewer, please subscribe to this video. Hit the bell notification. If you felt like you got value from this video or that I attempted to give you some value, like this video for me. Please, if you have any questions or if you think that this video was cool or whatever, right? Any critiques, comment as well. If anybody's in the cleaning industry, comment as well. Would love to, hear what you have to say as well. Try to get to all my comments. But till next